So how I grew my brand new Medicare agency from 0 to about 250 clients in the first 6 months. So I wanted to start putting out some content, putting out some videos about kind of just documenting my journey and with what we're doing, what I'm doing with my brand new Medicare agency. And if nothing else, it'll be a good kind of a journal for me to keep on myself as I'm going through the stages of building a brand new business and everything. And at the best, I mean, maybe it helps some other people out who are trying to do the same thing that I'm doing. And so, so from the beginning, in my experience so far, and just a little bit about my background first off, I worked for Matt Timmon, Missouri Insurance Advisors in Springfield, Missouri. I started out in 2022 there as a sales rep. I basically just did sales the whole time I was there, from 2022 till I just left and went independent under Matt Timmon in January 19th. So 2022, I worked my way up to what they call there a team lead. So, I had a team of 4 or 5 people that I was responsible for coaching and, aiding in their development there. And then, which is kind of like a team lead sales manager role, which was pretty cool. Honestly, that was my introduction into the Medicare space. That's where I got started, and that's what exposed me to insurance, really, in the first place. I had my life and health license going in, but I had never seen anybody really selling insurance on that level to what they were doing there. And I feel like I was pretty lucky because, I was exposed to the leadership there that Matt was able to display. And if you don't know anything about Matt Timmon, I mean, he's grown his agency from 0 to, I think, 15,000 active Medicare clients in just a few years. So, I mean, their growth is insane. And, I was lucky enough to kind of get to see how he did that from, I wouldn't say the beginning, but I was one of the first few employees when he really started building out his LOA team. And so I consider myself lucky that I got to kind of see how he did things and, what his leadership styles were and what his mindset on growing a company was. And a lot of the stuff that he does and the way he thinks, I try to implement in my own business. So, for example, I'm in year 1 right now, and I always hear these little things that, Matt used to say. And one of the things he would say is, and this is, obviously service is important and there are other important things, but what he would say is when you're new in insurance, the only thing that matters is sales. And it's so funny because it seems like something so obvious, but that has kind of been like my mantra in this first 6 months, first year, is the only thing that matters is sales. Because if you're spending your time, you're a brand new solo agent trying to start a either independent agent career or an independent agency, and you're focusing on your website and your LLC, and you're focusing on, the name of your company, the name of your business, building out this and that, none of that stuff matters. Like, I could be dialing leads from a spreadsheet this first year, have no CRM, and I genuinely believe we still would have put up 250 clients in 6 months, because it's all about the dials and it's all about the activity. So now obviously there's multiple ways to build it, but this is, I'm doing all phone sales. So, but it's the same thing. If you're local and you're trying to get in front of people and doing in-home appointments and having people come to your office, the question is how many dials are you making? How many dials does it take to set an appointment? Out of those appointments that you're setting, are you keeping your calendar full? Are you closing, a certain percentage of those that, it's all a numbers game at the end of the day. So if I'm closing 40% or 50% of appointments that I'm getting in front of, then the question is, okay, what is that average, first year commission on those clients? How well am I cross-selling? If you're playing the phones game, for me, it's how many dials am I making throughout the day? And for me, I like the phone game because that's just what I was used to working at Missouri Insurance Advisors. We would make, when I first started there, it's a little different now, but we would make 100 to 200 dials a day. And when I started there, obviously expectations grew over time as the company grew, but when I started there, if you made 2 sales, you were doing pretty good. 2 sales per day. So about 10 sales a week, 40 a month. You were, a pretty solid agent. Now, that is kind of the mindset that I've tried to have in my business this first year, because I think back to those early days and when I was first getting started with Matt there and learning their system, it was 2 sales a day. And so anyway, that's kind of what I try to hold myself to. And eventually, you figure out what you have to do to get your 2 or 3 sales per day. For me, there's really 3 things that I think were extremely vital to our success, or to my success. Is obviously, the most important thing is marketing. So do you have a good marketing source? Number 2 is your CRM. So when those marketing is great, but if those leads are coming in and they're not getting hit within the first, 5 minutes or so, with at least a text message, ideally a phone call, because speed to lead it just increases conversions like crazy. I think Harvard did some sort of study where if you got to the lead within 5 minutes or something, it increased conversion by, I forget what the percentage was. I think it was like 60%. So pretty crazy. I mean, but we don't always get to the lead within 5 minutes. We do our best to try to do that, but at least hitting them with that text message, so that when you call, if they've responded to that text, it gives you an in to say, hey, this is Clark. I was calling you about XYZ. We were texting there, and usually they'll just say, yeah, and you can just move on. But, having a solid intro there is important, and nurturing that lead with a text message or email or both, ideally, and then giving them a quick phone call right after they respond has been super important for us. But I would say, for us, it's really been pretty simple so far. So in my journey, I started off January 19th. I launched my own thing, and since then, I've just been on the phones, really. I put up, I want to say 150 clients or so myself. And then I went about 3 months ago, I went and got an office. I brought on my first LOA agent, which actually happens to be my best friend. And I knew that, because I'm trying to build out an actual agency eventually the goal is to do something kind of like what Matt Timmon has done, but probably on a smaller scale. So, in his office, he's got a bunch of service team members. He's got a whole sales floor. He's got SDRs, which are basically like VAs. They're like dialers and appointment setters. And it's pretty cool. I don't want to do things on the scale that I think he's built his company to, but kind of my end goal, my end game is to have an office where I have probably 5 to 10 sales agents and, maybe 2 or 3 service representatives where everybody's happy, they're treated well, they make good money, and, they treat our clients well. So we have a great client experience. And so, and I didn't actually purposely bring on, I guess purposely isn't the right word. I wasn't planning on bringing on an LOA agent within my first, 3 or 4 months. The reason that I did that is because I started doing all of my own marketing, and I had a problem where I was dialing, getting my 100 dials a day, making my 2 to 3 sales per day myself. But then at the end of the day, I would have like 40 leads still left in new, 30 or 40 leads. So good problem to have. I mean, I had too many leads. Like, I'm pretty sure everybody wants those kind of problems in their business. But too many leads, although it's a good problem, it's still a problem. And so again, I kind of think like, okay, how would Matt handle this? And I could just hear him saying, well, if you're putting forth good activity, my ad spend was only $2,000 a month. I was putting up at least $10K a month on that ad spend. And so I didn't want to turn the ad spend down because I didn't feel that I needed to. I was getting a good return on that ad spend. And so it just made sense to me and it worked out perfectly. My friend Dalton, he was working another job. The company had gone under, and he was looking for a place to go. And, being my friend, he had always heard how cool the Medicare industry was and how you can get renewals and all this fun stuff. And so naturally, he was just kind of curious about what I was doing. He came into my office, kind of started seeing like, how we did things. And, I think he liked it. And he came on and he just started killing it immediately. I mean, I want to say his first month, he put up 55 new Medicare clients. So, and he's just about a month and a half in, he's got about 70, I want to say maybe closer to 80 Medicare clients on the book so far. So he's doing phenomenal. I'm really, glad that I did bring him on when I did, because by the time AEP comes around, he's going to be just crushing it. And also, I've heard from a lot of really good operators in the space that your first hire is extremely important, and it's important that they hold themselves to a very high standard, because at the end of the day, your organization they're going to hold themselves to the same standard that you hold yourself to and that your leadership holds themselves to. And even if you're just a one-man show, in my opinion, it's never too early to start cultivating that leadership. And even, again, if you're a one-man show, just prove it to yourself, if nobody else, that you are that guy or that girl that does what they say they're going to do, that shows up each and every day, that, puts in the work, that puts in the dials. I mean, any given day, you could go in and sit there and stare at your phone for 8 hours and, make a few dials here and there, and then say that you worked, and then only put up 10 applications for a month, and then, blame the market and blame the carriers and, blame whoever, right? You could blame Trump, you could blame Joe Biden. I mean, at the end of the day, it's on you. And so, anyway, I just wanted to share this video. I wanted to kind of start putting out content documenting my journey, where we're going with things, and sharing things as we go along. So kind of our plan for the next 6 months. Obviously, we want to maximize August and September. Mid-September, we're going to start calling through our current clients. We're going to start scheduling them for annual reviews, and kind of start nurturing our current clients to make sure that they're not getting switched by other people during AEP. We're going to set those annual reviews up for the first week in October. We're going to start trying to cross-sell during those appointments as well. I think there's a big opportunity there, at least for us, where a lot of those clients we didn't cross-sell on the front end, that we probably should have. And so we're going to try to exploit that during AEP and make sure that those clients are protected with cancer, hospital indemnity, heart attack and stroke, home health care, all that good stuff. And I mean, ideally we're at about 250 clients now. We'd like to put up about 80 per month over the next 2 months. So that would put us right at around, what would that be? Right around 400 or so going into AEP. And then we're pretty confident we could push into AEP and finish the year out somewhere between 600 clients on the books or 700. So our revenue goal for AEP is, fairly lofty. I mean, it's about 150K between the two of us. So 75K each for me and Dalton. And so I will continue to post these videos and keep you guys updated. But if there's one takeaway from this video, the number one thing I think is, if you're a new Medicare agent in the space, I would say the most important thing is get a good mentor, get a good upline. Like, I know a lot of people, when they say this, are trying to recruit you into their downline. I don't have a downline. I am not, going after distribution or anything like that. I'm strictly just trying to build my own agency right now. Maybe that's something I start doing in the future when I feel that I have value to offer to other agents. But as of right now, the only value I have to offer is really just like my own personal experiences. But honestly, I mean, I would say find a good mentor, find somebody who has done what you are trying to do or has done greater things than what you even want to do. So for me, obviously, like, Matt was a great mentor. It was cool to see him do what he's done. I learned a lot from him, and I got a lot of perspective, and I continue to get a lot of perspective from him. And pretty much everything I'm doing, I've just tried to replicate exactly what he's done. So get around somebody that has what you want, figure out what they're doing. And the crazy thing is most of the time, these people are willing to help you. Like, they'll help you with marketing. If I didn't choose to do my own marketing, Matt would do all my marketing for me if I needed him to. If I need help with technology, Matt's going to help me with it. He helped me with my CRM. Like, there's just, there's a lot of value that some of these guys that have built these really great businesses in the Medicare industry can provide to you. And honestly, you're stupid if you don't take advantage of that. So that would be number one. Get a good marketing source, whether that's somebody else doing it for you or you just, starting to learn how to run your own TikTok ads or your own Meta ads. I would say for me, even though like I have an upline that could run all of my ads for me, I chose to try to pursue that skill, and I'm glad that I did, because it makes me feel like I have control in my business, which I think is extremely important. But just get around the people that are doing what you want to do. Have a good marketing source, or learn to do your own marketing. And then the third thing is you know, having those leads is one thing, having a good marketing source, having a good upline. A lot of people have those two things. You have a good upline, they give you great advice, you have leads, you know, or you're doing your marketing and you're getting the leads, and then if you're still not performing from there, it's you. There's just no other way around it. If you're not performing, you have a good upline, you have a good example, you have good leads, it's you. Like, you're either not putting in the activity, or if you are putting in the activity and you're not getting the results, then it's a sales problem. So you need to sharpen your skills. You need to attend some workshops on sales. You need to get around, you know, somebody that is selling at a high level in the Medicare industry and see how they are doing it. But usually, I would say 99% of the time, just in my experience, being around salespeople in the Medicare industry, if they're not performing, it is because they are not putting in the work. So, like Dalton, for example, super hard worker, great worker. He is killing it. He's having the start that probably a lot of Medicare agents dream of. But for him, I mean, he just works like a dog. And there's never a time, like I walk in the office at 8 a.m. Sometimes he's been there since 7:30 just dialing. And, you know, if he hasn't got his second sale for the day, he's never left without one sale, by the way, since he started. But a lot of times, if he hasn't gotten his second sale for the day, he just gets so caught up in the chasing after that he's there until 6:30, 7 o'clock at night, because he's committed to growing his book. He wants to go to 500 and 1,000 and 1,500 clients over time. And to do that, you have to be able to understand that it's all about building. You know, you have to have a good day, and then you have to have a good week, and then that builds into great months and then great years. And you have to do this for years. It's not just dialing the phones and working hard for one day or 1 week or 1 month. You have to do this for years. But if you can do that, 99.9% of other people are not doing that, so you will win. So that's just my 2 cents. I'm gonna try to make one of these videos, I don't know, maybe once a week or so going forward. So if you like this type of content, then make sure to subscribe to the channel, and if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments below.